Welcome to the Student Section Podcast, a podcast for student athletes by students. Today we're joined by two members of the Marist Club Baseball team, Max Rosen, Mike Schiavone. I'm Luca and our first-time co-host, Michael McFerrin. How you guys doing today?
Doing good. Happy to be here.
Nice.
Excited to be back on. Happy to be here.
How you doing?
First time here, so I'm excited to get it going.
Of course. Getting right into it, you guys have a pretty dominant club baseball team. Two champions in the last 2 years, and you guys started 10-3 this season. How's the outlook going? How's the team going? How do you guys feel about this season?
Yeah, the vibes are really high right now. We're practicing about 3 times a week right now. We have our team lifts Wednesday nights and then 2 practices in the turf room Friday and Sundays. We're starting to get our live batting practices ramped up now. So, pitchers are throwing, hitters are hitting, get the competitive juices flowing again. But yeah, I would say if we had to play this weekend, I think we're ready to go. But we're not playing until the end of March because of the weather, unfortunately, doesn't allow us to get out there too early. And spring break being the middle of March, so we can't play during that either. But, I'm really excited about what this team can bring, and we have a big spring season ahead.
Yeah, you guys still, being a club baseball team, you still get to use those D1 facilities. How do you guys feel that prepares you for your matchups upcoming this season?
Yeah, it's definitely helpful. It's always tough, in the winter when you were stuck in the turf room, doing practice. It's we can do live at bats, we can take ground balls, but that situational kind of baseball stuff you really can't do. So, unfortunately, we play March 28th with spring break coming up, and the weather is still not great. We're hoping we get outside before then, but it won't be more than once or a couple times maybe. So it's definitely tough, but we appreciate that the athletic department lets us use the turf room when the weather's nice. Go out on the baseball field, use the D1 weight room once a week. So it's definitely helpful, and I think it kind of helps keep the team together. Keeps everyone more interested and more involved. As we build up for the season.
Right. Well, if the weather ends up not being nice, is the game then canceled? Is it moved? How does that work?
So for the spring season, especially with the weather being so unknown, we schedule most of our games in the fall season because the weather's a lot nicer in September and October than it is in beginning of March and the early parts of April with the rain especially. So we only have 6 conference games scheduled for the spring semester against Fairfield and Quinnipiac. So we're looking to win those games and get back to the playoffs where we've been the last 2 seasons up in Cortland. So we're looking forward to that.
I like that confidence coming for you guys. It is supposed to be warm soon. I heard it was going to be 70 next week. What a shift it's been from the cold weather. Now going to Marist, it's really nice. The campus is beautiful, but you get here and it's wintertime and it's kind of brutal sometimes. How do you guys acclimate yourselves to the weather change, even though being in the field room? What are some things that you have to do in order to practice well but still not have the field?
It's definitely tough. Most of the guys are from the Northeast. We all grew up playing baseball in the Northeast. In high school, you couldn't go outside until maybe the middle of March if you were lucky. So we're all. That's kind of always how it's been for all of us, I think. And you just do the best you can. As I said, the situational stuff you really don't have so much of an opportunity to do. And so sometimes when we go out there and play games, it's like, well, we haven't really worked on this, but we're just going to have to, we've all played baseball a long time and hope we kind of figure it out. There's only so much you can do in the turf room, but I think everyone's kind of used to that. Growing up, you didn't get to go outside much before you played games. It just was the way it was. And so I think we've all been able to deal with that and move forward.
You mentioned that you guys have been playing for a long time. I actually did do a little bit of research on your high school careers. I wanted to just list out some things. You were a pitcher. You played second base and outfield. You switched. You had in high school, you had a ball exit velocity of 90 miles an hour. You were a good pitcher. If you guys were to face each other, how would you pitch against someone like him and vice versa, knowing each other now?
Well, we have faced each other in the turf room, and I will say it's a little one-sided in his favor. It hasn't gone so well for me. I don't know the exact stats off my head. I faced him the other day. I walk you?
Walk.
Yeah.
It's typically the average,
I wouldn't
expected.
I wouldn't say that's typical, but his numbers are pretty good off me.
How often are you guys going up against each other?
Now at this point in the season, we're going live pretty much every week. So it's typically once a week. But in his defense, it gets hard when you're facing the same hitters over and over again. And, what the hitters know what to expect from you in certain counts. So it gets a little bit more difficult as, the live season continues indoors.
That's pretty much, at this point in the season, in the turf room, it's about getting pitchers built up for the season. We're not going to play a game before we play a conference game on the 28th, so The only way I'm going to be built up to throw 5, 6, 7 innings in that game is by building up over time in live at-bats in the turf room, even if that means facing Mike week after week after week and paying the price for it. But that's just, it's what we have to do.
It gets him ready for the season, facing good hitters.
Yeah, exactly.
Throughout the winter, gets him ready for the spring. So
yeah,
we're going to need a big year from Max if we want to do what we want to do this year.
There you go. And, with baseball, it's a sport predicated off of failure. How is the difference between playing baseball in the collegiate level versus high school, and what is the expected for those of you who don't watch the game, for the audience who doesn't watch the games, and your pitch to get them out? How does a average club game look?
I mean, it's really quite competitive baseball. I think a lot of people don't realize how good club baseball is. The way we kind of say it is that the majority of guys on our team and a lot of the guys that we play on other teams could be playing collegiate baseball somewhere. Maybe not at the D1 level, but D2, D3 levels. We've had guys that have played D1 baseball before as well. So there's really a mix of talent. I think it's a lot of guys that could have played collegiately and decided for whatever reason not to. I thought about playing collegiately and decided I wanted to come to Marist, and that was kind of in my best interest academically, and I wasn't going to play D1 baseball, so that wasn't an option here. But club baseball, it's competitive baseball. The games, for the most part, are pretty good. A lot of close games, especially when you get to the playoffs. You're playing good teams, so it's high quality baseball, and it's nothing to scoff at.
And the part I love about it is how big of a turnover it is year to year. There's so many teams where what you faced last season is not what you're going to see again this season. So that constant turnover and having to adjust to new teams, it provides an uncertainty that I think is pretty cool to what club baseball is versus. I mean, even in the collegiate landscape nowadays, guys are transferring out and all this kind of stuff. So it is kind of that similar feel when it comes to guys, graduating and new people coming in.
Right. You talk about that loyalty and that bond that's created through that. How would you describe the chemistry and all your teammates together? What's the vibe of the team? What's the personality?
I've had a lot of fun over the last 3 years. I've played on a lot of really good teams, a lot of competitive baseball, but these are some of the most fun teams as well as competitive teams I've been on. The chemistry up and down the team is really, really strong. I think that's a big part of why we've had so much success over the last few seasons, is just because we're such a tight-knit group of guys and we're willing to go to battle for one another each and every weekend. And, I mean, that's stuff we look for when we're during the tryout process. Obviously, we look for the best players, but if guys don't have the best personalities, they may not be what we're looking for in terms of culture. So trying to find that blend of talent, but also being a good culture team guy is a very important thing for us.
Has there ever been a situation where you guys have had to, maybe, don't get into names or anything, but had to maybe kick or remove someone from a team due to a situation or anything like that?
There's been a few times, but we try to keep those things in-house and not, broadcast them publicly.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, obviously some guys just don't really kind of embrace the full club baseball culture of it. And because some guys, they come from really competitive baseball in high school, or whether they played in college and they transferred and they're not playing, varsity baseball anymore. So it's kind of hard to make that adjustment, but I think most of the guys that have done that have done a good job and, have been good teammates.
Yeah, I think most people understand what it means to be a part of this team. It's a built-in group of friends. That's kind of how it was for me when I joined fall freshman year. I didn't know anybody. Make the team, and then there's 20 guys that I have that I'm friends with that I can, when I see around, will say hello to me, type thing like that. So it's really, from when you begin college, it's a really great way to kind of give yourself a built-in group that you can rely on, that you have as friends. It's, while it's competitive and we're trying to win and we take winning seriously, that's what we want to do. There's also, we have a good time. At practice we toss the football around. Mike hates that sometimes, but we have fun. We keep it light while doing what we need to do to get better and be competitive on the field. And I think the vast majority of people have understood that. We had Scoot, who played with us the last year and a half. He graduated last year. He was on the D1 team as a walk-on, came down to play with us, and there was no ego. Everything, puts the ego aside and just embraced the team and was part of the team. Was a great player, but he really, more than his play on the field, embraced what it was to be a part of the team, and made himself one of us.
Yeah.
You guys are always talking about kind of the chemistry that you have and playing at a high level. How are you guys able to do that when there is such a huge break? I mean, I don't think we mentioned it, but you guys haven't played a game since, October?
Yeah.
Next one's coming up in March, late March, 28th, you said?
So especially in the Northeast, the fall season is very, very important for us in terms of getting all of our games in. But yeah, the NCBA, the season is split between the fall semester and the spring semester. So we have a total of 15 conference games spread across both semesters. Like I said before, we played 9 conference games in the fall, and then we played 6 conference games playing 6 conference games in the spring, with some non-conference games sprinkled in there, just to get some guys that aren't deemed to be in the starting lineup per se in conference games, to get them some repetitions, because those guys are coming to practice every day. They're working hard. They're good people to be around. So you like to reward those kind of guys with playing time, because when they're on the bench, it can just get kind of stale, but they always bring good energy, and they always are, aware of what their role is. And we're just looking to keep building on that and into the rest of the season. So,
yeah, I mean, the reality of being in the Northeast is that we can't play all of our conference games in the spring. It's just not really feasible unless we were to also play games during the week, which some club teams do. But we are pretty much in agreement that is not something we want to do. Everyone's busy. Everyone does their own thing. During the week, it would not be possible to have the whole team together for games. We'd have to split, maybe take more guys on the roster so that we could kind of split into multiple different teams so we could field the roster or field the team during the week. It's just not something that we want to really do. And with the weather, you can't bet that every weekend from mid-March till the beginning of May, you're going to actually be able to play and get all those conference games in. So, we have a couple of conference series end of March and then kind of early mid-April. If those get rained out, then there's time, throughout the rest of April to hopefully get them back in. If we had other games scheduled, other conference games scheduled, then we're losing games. So the reality is that in the fall, when the weather's better, we kind of just got to play what we can play. Unfortunate for me this year, because I was abroad in the fall, so I missed a lot of fun from what I hear. But that's, in order to get the games in, that's what we have to do.
Yeah, it was a good mentality to have, and that makes a lot of sense. I wanted to backtrack a little bit. You mentioned how coming to Marist, it was the right decision academically, and your eye was kind of already set on playing club. As for you, it was sort of a different story for you. Tell us about your story with baseball here.
So I went through the recruiting process, tried to play collegiate baseball, but I wanted to really come to Marist. I'm from Poughkeepsie. I'm 15 minutes down the road, so coming to Marist had the sports communication program that I wanted, while also being close to home and having a club baseball program, which is something I was looking for as well if I didn't, make the Division I team. So I tried walking on the Division I team. I did not make it. It was between me and one more guy, I believe. They gave that last spot to him. I was offered a spot as a manager on the team, but I declined. I wanted to go another direction. So I tried out for the club baseball team, and that's probably the best decision I think I've made being at Marist. I've made a lot of really good friends here. I've assumed a lot of leadership positions in clubs, like center field. I'm an editor there with the Red Fox Report. I help produce the shows, and then with the club baseball now being the president of that. So it's been a real honor for me to serve as a leader of this group of guys, and continue what looks to be a fun baseball career for me.
Absolutely. You mentioned the clubs. Both of you have mentioned the academic side. Let's talk about center field. Let's talk about what's the best part about being a part of these clubs and having the positions that you guys have in those clubs?
I mean, it's why I wanted to come to Marist, really, is that the professional experience you can get, in college. In communications, I think when you're looking for a job after college, they don't care if you had a 3.9 GPA in your communications classes. They want to see that you have experience, that you did things. And at Marist, you really have the opportunity to do that. And it works perfectly with club baseball because you have the time you still get to play the game you love and have that team and do all those things that make baseball great, but you have the time to really involve yourself in extracurriculars and the things that are really important and are going to benefit us, down the line when we're done with Marist. So I think, being able to cover the men's basketball team like I do for center field and get that experience there's a lot of places you can't do that. And so to be able to do that while continuing to play baseball for as long as I can play baseball, you can't beat that, really.
And with being on the Division I team or playing Division I athletics, it's really hard to balance that, playing Division I athlete and that rigorous schedule that comes with it, with, trying to get involved with clubs. It's just the schedule just doesn't kind of line up for that. And I'm glad that club baseball, I'm fortunate enough to be able to make the schedule now, so I can kind of make schedule practices around club meetings, whether it be center field editors meetings, whether it be Red Fox Report production meetings. So I'm happy I can dip my foot in multiple different areas and still be able to attend all the time.
Absolutely. Being a part of these clubs, the benefit it has for you guys in the future, but also the benefit it has for you guys now. How do you feel watching all of these high-paced games helps you guys as a athlete and with your mentality and everything along those lines?
I don't know. I mean, as I said, I cover the basketball team. I covered the baseball team last year. There's definitely it's nice to stay around sports, I guess, and kind of see how these high-level athletes go about their business. But I don't know. I feel like, they're in the weight room training every day, doing their thing. That's another beauty of club baseball. I don't really like working out, so I don't really work out very much.
Had to get on them for that a little bit.
Yeah, I hear about that a little bit. But, I could kind of go about it how I want to go about it, and I think that's part of the beauty of club baseball. So I love watching the basketball team play. They're great, high-level athletes. It's fun to watch, but, club baseball, we do our own thing, I think.
We do. And that's what makes us unique, I think. It's just being able to create our own schedule and have some fun at practice while also trying to get better. Like, our vice president, Pat, likes to organize onside kick practices while our practice is going on. So say I'm throwing batting practice in a cage right next to where there's a little open turf space. There's a few guys, practicing like onside kicks, and the ball gets in the way of the cage.
It's a really good time.
I don't think it's a good time when I'm trying to throw batting practice and get kids better, but it's also the beauty of club baseball. So just being able to do that stuff and it be okay and be acceptable is what makes club baseball so great.
How do you guys, so you guys are both athletes here. How do you use your experience as a college athlete for writing for Center Field or producing stuff for Red Fox Report?
It's a good question. I think just being able to, be around a team every day and be able to see, get those experiences like I did in high school. I think it's important to be able to forge good relationships with people outside of just the baseball part of it. Like there are a bunch of guys there's one kid in particular that is a graphics person for Center Field that we met through club baseball. So being able to kind of push him along and say, hey, get involved with Center Field if you want to be in part of graphics. So getting those type of guys involved as an upperclassman really, satisfies me.
I think it's kind of everyone says about sports, being as a team and working towards a common goal. That isn't just in sports, that works in pretty much anything you do. So in Center Field, we're trying to put out good content about Marist athletics, cover everything fairly, and so we're working towards that common goal. Like the club baseball team, we're working to our goal of winning. So, being on the team, I think when people come into college, you can be nervous. You're nervous to get involved with things. I was nervous to get involved with Center Field, but I wasn't nervous to get involved with club baseball because I've been a part of baseball teams for years. And so that kind of was like, I was still comfortable, but it was a step up in interacting with people that were older than me, had more experience than me, had, experienced different things. And that kind of helps you get more comfortable as you get involved with other things on campus as well.
Absolutely. Back in high school, you're a local product. You're from Long Island. You guys mentioned before the podcast that there was sort of a connection there. I was curious to see what that was.
So it's a bit of a small one. The year that I won the state championship in 2023, our team went 28-2 and beat Commack High School on Long Island in the state championship. We actually got no hit in that game and still was able to win. So that's kind of a testament to how good that team was. And a few balls bounced our way here and there, but I believe Commack was they hadn't lost a game yet in that season, and then your high school beat them.
I think we were their one of two losses by the time they got to the state championship.
So when I was looking at, I think it was Max Preps or whatever, it's like, oh, how is this Commack team done? And I see, oh, win. And then I see that they lost to this school called Walt Whitman, and I'm like, oh, okay, I don't know how good they are, but, it's a good thing to know. And then I come to school, start talking to Max about my high school experiences and how we played Commack in the state championship. And he's like, oh, my God, that was my high school that beat them. So it's kind of funny to be able to talk about that here and there.
I got the save in that game. I always toss that in there.
Oh, yeah? You did? That's valid.
Yeah.
You ever have any more of those situations where you realize it's a small world in baseball with any of your other teammates or even some people who just go to Marist who you have those experiences with?
So two guys that I played high school with, Jason Dew and Luke Pacone, are now on the Marist Club Baseball team here. So just kind of continuing what we built in high school and now transferring that onto the collegiate field with club baseball is a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely see connections. Marist, I mean, there's a lot of people. I'm from Long Island. There's a lot of people from Long Island at Marist. There's other kids on the team that are from Long Island that played high school baseball in Long Island. Zach, who graduated last year, went to Commack, so he played for Commack. So you run into people and you kind of find that you're from a similar area. You had similar experiences growing up and your paths just hadn't crossed yet.
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of people from Long Island here. It's a lot of the similarities going on with people here. So with that, I wanted to ask you guys, what was your favorite MLB teams growing up?
I'm a diehard Yankee fan all the way, so that's never going to change. My dad raised me to be that way, and I'm never going to steer off that. So,
Yeah, my dad raised me to be a Mets fan. I'm a diehard Mets fan.
Same.
Provided me a lot of pain over the years. Pain.
And still will.
Yeah.
They'll never.
No, I feel
It will
good
never
about
change.
this year, but we all know that it'll probably end in heartbreaking fashion one way.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope not, but as I said, I feel good, but I felt good about pretty much every Mets team since I can remember, and hasn't really resulted in anything yet. So,
Who was your favorite player growing up?
growing up, I really liked Noah Syndergaard because he was a pitcher and had the long hair, so I kind of connected with that. Now my favorite player.
He draws a lot of comparisons to him still.
Yeah,
No, a little bit.
people still throw it out there. His career kind of went up in smoke, though, unfortunately. So I kind of dissed myself. I'm a big Francisco Lindor fan now. He's my favorite player on the team now.
That's better. What about you? I know you grew up. You carried the number of one of your favorite.
Yeah,
players
so I wear number 14. Curtis Granderson was my favorite player growing up. So just, he wore like the beaded necklaces around his neck. That's what I always used to wear those. Just like the swagger he used to play with. That's something I really used to jive with.
He
And
was
back
also
to
on the
Max
Mets
saying
too.
that Noah Syndergaard, his career went up in flames. You really can't have that with you. So you got to continue to keep pitching, keep pitching good.
I got a year and a half left that I need my arm to survive for. So hopefully we can make it that far.
Yeah, you got that. What would you guys say is the most fond memory you guys have had together on the team?
My favorite memory, you're probably going to say the same thing, but now you got to think of something different, is we do an annual game now. This past fall was the second time at Heritage Financial Park where the Renegades, the Yankees High A affiliate plays. And last year, so fall 2024, our sophomore year, was the first time we did that. We played Siena, so it was a conference game. They were in our conference last year, and we won on a walk-off. We talked about Christian Carreri before the episode started, who we affectionately call God because he's the best player the team's ever had, debatably. Such a good player. He was our catcher, and he had a walk-off home run in, was it the seventh? Was it extra innings? Was it the eighth inning?
I think it was the 8th inning.
I think it was the eighth.
Yeah.
We play 7-inning games, so bottom of the eighth, he had a walk-off home run to left, and Aiden Lavin, who was our vice president the past 2 years, was a leader on the team. He put so much work into organizing that game and making everything happen, working with the Renegades, working with athletics and Steven, our advisor, to put that game on and make it happen, to promote it, sell tickets, get people to come out. And so for it to end in that way with that home run, there's video of it. It was just unbelievable. It's probably my favorite moment playing baseball, throughout my whole career. So it doesn't really get better than that.
Yeah, and we played that game again this year, and obviously Aiden laying the blueprint for us was able to make the process for Pat and myself, our vice president, much easier in terms of selling tickets and getting the Boys and Girls Club of Poughkeepsie involved, which is our charitable thing. The one big difference that we did with the Boys and Girls Club this season was getting them on the field in between innings and playing like some games. So we had one of the dance team members dress up as Frankie, and they did like a race, from first base to the foul pole and back or something like that. So got them involved that way. We did some trivia. We had like one of our guys name as many ice cream flavors as he can, like 30 seconds, and then had one of the Boys and Girls Club members do that too. So just being able to get those kids out there and participating like that was a really rewarding experience for me.
Absolutely, that's a great experience. And you talk about that. You talk about the stadium, and what I wanted to ask you guys, stadium-wise, what's your favorite stadium food to go at a ballpark?
My favorite has always been at Citi Field. They've had a pastrami on rye sandwich that's really good.
Yep.
I think it's kind of gotten a little worse the past couple of years. I feel like they've been putting less pastrami on it, which has been a little disappointing, but
When you're paying Soto all that money, you can't get all that
that's-
pastrami.
I
So.
guess the payroll's a little high. They got to save costs, cut costs somewhere. But no, I think that's a pretty good sandwich. I'm trying to think what else I've had at Citi Field.
They had like a Pete Alonso burger a couple of years ago.
I really
Remember
liked
that
that
one?
one. That was a few years ago, but I really liked that, and I was upset that they got rid of it.
Yeah. Well, they can't do it anymore. He's gone now.
I know.
So.
They'll do it in Baltimore now.
And unfortunately for me, I'm celiac, so that means I'm gluten-free, so that severely limits my options. But, classic hot dog, probably good enough for me at this rate. So
There you go. With that, still relating to professional, the MLB, everything like that, you mentioned people that you liked growing up, but even outside the MLB, what keeps you guys inspired to keep playing, and who is your biggest inspiration?
I would say just my teammates. Those guys, are uplifting each and every day. They come with a will to win and a will to work and compete, which is something I truly respect because I came from somewhere where winning was the ultimate standard, and I didn't know if that was going to still be the standard coming from a very competitive high school program to a club program. But our previous president and vice president, Glenn Halliday and Aiden Lavin, really instilled that in that group, and we've only continued to carry that torch and continue to field a competitive team year in and year out.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, when you're a kid, you kind of look up to those major league players and want to be like them. I'm not going to be a major league baseball player. I don't even play varsity college baseball. But like Mike said, it's more about just the team, and I just love playing baseball. I love to pitch. It's my favorite thing to do. I have so much fun doing it. There's nothing better than being out there, and throwing 5, 6, 7 innings, however many. It's as fun as I have doing anything, and so I want to do it for as long as I possibly can do it. And so finish out this year and then next year, and maybe that'll be the end. I don't know, but it's just nice to be able to still do it in a competitive environment where we have a good team. We're playing to a goal. We want to, go to the playoffs and then win in the playoffs and go to the Division II college or collegiate club baseball World Series in Illinois. That's our ultimate goal. So it's nice to be able to still play and have that goal, because when you have that goal and that competitive thing you're working towards, it makes it even more fun to be able to go out there and continue to play.
Absolutely. Extremely meaningful to carry those things with you throughout your career. If there was one selling point that you guys had for people to come out and watch more of your games, what would it be?
I would say just the amount of fun we have on the field. I think, not to say that Division I athletes don't have fun or, anything like that, but I think we truly have a lot of fun on the baseball field. You'll see, like, in between innings, a few guys will come out of the dugout and toss the football around a little bit. It's like, that's not stuff you're going to see in a Division I or any collegiate level game. So just, I think, being a little bit different in that regard, and just, we have some talent on our team too. Like, there's like Max alluded to earlier, there's definitely a few guys. I mean, a player, Luca, we just took, he played Division I ball at Wagner and transferred up to Marist. So we have some guys that can definitely play Division I, Division II, Division III baseball. And I think just the mix of talent and the amount of fun we have in the field is definitely a good selling point.
Yeah, I mean, and when we're home, especially, it's at McCann Field. It's right here. It's, it's easy to come out to. And as Mike said, we have fun. We keep it loose. Guys are doing their celebrations on the field. Guys are yelling. It's fun. It's competitive, but it feels like there's not as much pressure. Even though I think to us, the players, we feel like there's pressure. Like, we want to win. It's a lighter environment. And so I think it's fun to watch. And as I said, it's competitive. Like, we're a good team. We're playing teams that are competitive. We're playing our games here. Non-conference this semester will be Syracuse and maybe Bryant, depending on how scheduling works out. Those are two really good club baseball teams. Bryant went to the World Series last year, so they definitely have talent too. It's quality baseball. It's not like, rec league where, no, there's nothing wrong with that either, but where it's real baseball. It's good. So, I don't know. I think it's just fun to come out and see.
And you get your fair share of teams here and there that, aren't that great, and we can just kind of go out there and do what we have to do. But like Max said, playing Bryant at the end of April, if the schedule, goes according to plan, Bryant is currently I believe at the start of the season, they were the #1 team in the NCBA Division II poll. So it's a good team. They've won our region last year. So just facing as much good competition as we can so that can prepare us for a hopeful playoff run.
Yeah. You also you mentioned how lighthearted and fun it is, and that's how it's a really fun experience. When there is those serious times, obviously we're all adults, but being around the guys is kind of hard to rein it in all the time. How do you guys find it in you to really focus and know that, coming off of 2 championships, you guys have been successful? What makes you guys lock in those scenarios?
I mean, we've been successful, but at the same time, like, last year was really tough because we went to the playoffs. We won our conference.
We're undefeated.
We were undefeated in our conference.
We went 13-0 in our conference.
Right. Went to the playoffs, and it's a double elimination tournament. We lost our first 2 games. Both games we should have won. We should not have lost those games.
As the #1 seed, too.
As the #1
seed, and we're not able to win 1 game in a double elimination tournament. So
and
definitely disappointing.
It wasn't like we got killed. Like, we lost the first game,
I think both by 1
2-1, and the second one we were up by 4 or 5 runs and blew it.
Just kind of collapsed at the end.
So, and we also had 7 or 8 seniors graduating last year that were really, like Aiden as one, for example, that was really, really important to our team. And I think going into that, we wanted to go to the World Series, and we knew we were capable of, like, we are 100% good enough to win that playoff tournament, and we just didn't. And that was crushing. So we had a good season. It was fun. There was a lot of emotion when we lost that because we knew that was the end for a good chunk of our team with all those seniors and guys that were important to the team. And, that's the other thing too. When you're losing that many seniors, you don't know, what freshmen are going to come in the next year and what their talent level is going to be like. We got lucky. We took a lot of really good freshmen and a couple sophomores that joined the team as well that are really, really good players. And so that's why we're able to be competitive again this year. But in May, when we lost, we didn't know that that was going to be the case. And so, you kind of you have this opportunity and you don't know. For the seniors, they're not getting the opportunity again. And for those of us that are still around, we didn't know if it would be possible again. So it was a tough loss. There were definitely tears from some of the guys. That's just how, it's the emotions of sport. We wanted to accomplish something and we were capable of it and we didn't get it done.
I remember talking to Max after that game and just being like, I think we just blew our best possible chance to make it to the World Series because we just don't know what the future will hold for us. And we were very lucky to come away with some really, really good baseball players in this in this past year's class. And while they're also really, really good baseball players, they're also really good guys as well, and they fit what we're looking for. So that's one of the more important things as well.
What's the identity of the team? You guys are 10-3, lost a few guys last year, but you're doing really well this year. What's kind of the identity and what's kind of worked so far?
Just go out there and have fun. Go out there and have fun, play hard and play smart. I try and instill kind of guys to go out there and do their own thing, but be disciplined about it. Like if you get on first base and you think you can steal a bag, go for it. I'm not going to stop you, but you also got to know who you are, right? If our cleanup hitter's on first base and he's trying to steal second, I'm kind of like, all right, we got to bring it back a little bit. But if you're one of our guys that knows that they can go get a bag, go and get one. Showcase your athleticism. So just letting the guys play and not really, putting any restraints on them is one thing I think we try and do.
Yeah, it's harder for me to say again because I wasn't here in the fall, so I haven't been around for a game yet this year, unfortunately. But just from being at practice, it feels like, it's still a close-knit group. It's still lighthearted. It still feels like club baseball always felt to me freshman and sophomore year. And, that's definitely something you think about when you're losing so many guys that were key to not only the play on the field, but also how the team functioned off the field and as vibes go, so to speak. You don't know if that's going to, be maintained going forward when you lose those guys. And I think it has. It still feels like club baseball. It's still the highlights of my week, when I can go, got a lot of work going on, but when I can go forget about work for 2 hours and play baseball and hang out with friends, it's still that for me.
Absolutely. Being able to rip a double off Max and live BP is a pretty good consolation prize. So
yeah, well, I got to work on that. I got to find a way to get him out. The one time I struck you out, I think, was on a hanging curveball. So
it swung right through it.
It wasn't even a good pitch. He just swung right through it.
Hey, well, absolutely, you guys having fun but still dominating. That's a great identity to have, the identity of our club baseball team. Max Rosen, Mike Schiavone, Michael McFerrin, Luca D'Arienzo. That's the Student Section Podcast. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you guys next time.